What's up? In this video, I'm going to show you exactly how I'm using Claude Code lead generation to build sales pipeline for my SEO agency. Right now, I have over 15,000 in active pipeline, and it's the first time I've ever hit that number. And I want to walk you through every equation and framework behind it. So stay till the end because the math on this is going to change how you think about client acquisition. Welcome back to the Digital Growth Stage channel. My name is John. On this channel, we cover local SEO, web design, and lead generation for Bay Area service businesses. We keep it practical enough that you can actually apply it without a full marketing team. So let's get into it. Here's the thing about lead generation that nobody is talking about. Most people think the answer to inconsistent revenue is more effort. More calls, more emails, more posts, but if the faucet is broken, some days water will come out and some days you will get nothing. And that's not a motivation problem, that's a systems problem. The reason I'm now at 15K in pipeline isn't that I've been working harder, it's that I built a machine underneath the effort, and that machine runs on Claude Code lead generation as its core. And so a little background on me, I overcame addiction and I've been sober for about 5 years. And the first chapter of sobriety, I had to overcome habits and mindset shifts that tracked back to my childhood, going through therapy, rewriting my story, healing the inner child, and so on. And what I learned after reading Atomic Habits by James Clear was that our character was micro animations of our habits, and our habits were micro manifestations of our thoughts. This new equation on how to generate new output in my life was what actually attuned me to being able to see the benefit of cold calling, cold emailing, and outbound sales in general. So let me explain. At the beginning of my sobriety, I won the morning for 730 something days straight. Before 6:30 a.m., I would do 100 push-ups, 10 minutes of yoga, and 10 minutes of meditation. And I didn't feel like I was any good at it, but I kept at it. Not because it felt heroic, I actually felt like a noob every single time. I did it because it was the one variable that I controlled before the day started. And so everything I'm building now got built on that foundation. You can hear me now and listen later. That discipline is the same equation I'm applying to this pipeline. You stack the evidence in your favor, dissect what isn't working, and then change the small habits that compound. I got good at doing things that don't pay off immediately, and that repetition will build mastery, and I need you to get in those same reps. So then came time for field experiments. I had paid for cold email, I paid for lead lists, I paid for calling services, and all of that booked exactly 0 calls. So I picked up the phone myself, and that's when things started to move. Around that same time, I found Nate Herc online in his YouTube videos. He built what he's calling the AI operating system. It's an OS for running a business with an AI agent as a team. And I took that framework, I extended it, and wired my Claude Code lead generation ideas directly into it. Not as a feature, but as the engine. Before any of that could work, I had to solve the sales equation. Like, how do I book more calls without hiring a full-time rep that I'd have to train from scratch? And so here's the math that I ran. If I had one person doing outbound 4 hours a day, and we go from our current call volume to the 600% increase that they would bring on, not 20% more, 6 times more, the question is how to make that person effective from day one. The answer was Claude Code lead generation, wired into an AI sales trainer and CRM that runs drills, tracks gaps, handles objections, and gets sharper every session. And so I want to bring up this equation because it is extremely important. This is the equation I use to make the decision obvious. Most people in sales know this as LAPS, L-A-P-S, from Daniel Priestley: leads, appointments, presentations, and sales. It's a pipeline equation, not a motivation equation, and once you know your numbers at each stage, the only question is how to increase the input. And so when I ran my numbers after I finally got 10 people to buy, I reverse engineered how many calls it took to get my first sale and how many presentations needed to happen along the way. And so for me personally, my number is 400. 400 dials to close one sale. And here's how it maps to our system. Leads are contacts in the pipeline, built and enriched by Claude Code lead generation. The calls are the connects, and then from calls, we get some bookings. From bookings, our closer jumps on, qualifies the fit, walks them through the offer, sale or no sale. So we don't chase 10 sales and celebrate. We chase 10 to find our average on how many total calls we needed to make, and then we reverse engineer that winning equation from there. Once you have 10 data points, you'll know on average your numbers in terms of how many bookings you get per 100 calls and where you would be at in every stage. And so here's the punchline. The one variable I could control most directly is the number of calls. Not necessarily the close rate, even though I could work on it. I would have massive shifts. The one area I can truly move mountains in is inside of the amount of leads that we're contacting. And so that would be a time and system constraint. But if I'm able to bring on this secondary person, we can have a 600% increase in input with the same closing skill. And so the honest part, this is a bet. I'm building this system while running active SEO clients, and I'm pulling time from existing priorities to build infrastructure that could take anywhere between 30 to 60 days to show return. And so the risk isn't math. The math works. The risk is execution. Do we get the system built, tested, and running before the cash flow gets tight? And that's the pressure. And it's worth naming because the build with Claude Code and money appears narrative isn't real. You build the system, you run it, you learn, you adjust to get closer to your revenue goals, and that's the move. And so I bumped my head on this enough times that you shouldn't have to. And so here's what I'm actually doing with my AI operating system. And so here's my AI OS stack. Data comes in from different main sources. Now, I also have information coming in from Google Business and my social media channels, but those are secondary to my SEO tools. And so these all feed into the AI operating system. It's something that I pulled from Nate Herc's original framework, and I've extended it for the JWD SEO agency. And so the outputs are 3 different channels: content production, a content calendar, and then a lead generation engine. And so the lead gen engine is where Claude Code lead generation lives. Right now, we have about 2,000 leads seeded in the pipeline. Connection requests and DM outreach is running through playwright.cli, and every contact logged, every outcome tracked through Supabase. That pretty much handles all of our distribution. And so content goes out through those channels without me needing to touch a queue. And so let's just view what this operating system looks like in general, as it needs to be ran in VS Code. You can see that we have our list of agents, which comes with a base executive assistant. And then I've built out a team of email assistants, graphic designers, a sales copywriter, and slide deck generator, an SEO analyst, and a LinkedIn setter, as well as a video editor. And so I'm able to orchestrate these agents as needed on a day-to-day basis and just set them up with tasks to handle as I go through my cold calling on a day-to-day, which has been incredibly effective. We also have a media area where we're able to hold, store, and back up all of the media information that we build. And then you can see that we have a safe.env file. You can even see the .env template with our Anthropic key, Supabase, GitHub, our social medias, and so on. Now, the coolest thing about this is that traditionally, most people set up this AI operating system to work within the harness of Claude Code. However, you can set this entire operating system up to work from the Anthropic API, effectively reducing your overhead by up to 95% on a monthly basis. And so when I made that switch from Claude Code to the Anthropic API, I was spending around $120 a month, and I was able to get that down to about $9 a month with all of the functionality that I've showed you so far. So this would be the AI system, or the operating system. And then there's a secondary piece to this called Obsidian. It's a free GitHub repo available. I'll include the link in our description. But what's beautiful about this is that we get a working map of pretty much all of the nodes inside of my business that are attached to the AI operating system. Now, this doesn't look like much at first, but what I did was I created a specific area that is mapped to YouTube. That way, all of the YouTube transcripts that I've ever written or spoke on are inside of here and then connected to the nodes inside of my business that I've deemed important. And so what this ensures is that I never step on my own toes when it comes to saying the same thing twice or going over a topic that I already have covered. And it's incredibly impactful for writing content, ideating, getting my finances together, etc. So this is the second half of the brain behind the AI operating system that makes it so powerful, because we don't have to continuously reprompt our context windows. We can just ask the AI operating system to check our past 3 videos from the vault or the mind that it already has generated. Awesome, totally cool. And so let's dive a little bit into how this has affected our day-to-day work over at the company, because we've been able to put together an entire dashboard that has the leads and appointments in these first 4 brackets here, the booked meetings that we have per week, as well as active clients. It also keeps track of our total dials per day and the amount of days that we've been able to keep that streak, which all gets fed in from our CRM. And so our CRM now runs on Twilio. We're able to make full active dials from within here and then track everything within this CRM. It's completely built by Claude Code and then pushed to a virtual private server. What this also does is it keeps me from micromanaging, because I've been able to build in a calls and activity area that sends in a recording and the transcript to the Anthropic API to get the tonality and exact language used. That way we can get sentiment scores for pennies on the dollar, and I don't ever have to check in directly with sales reps about what was said, how they're responding, and so on. I can easily check the dashboard and see sentiment scores across the board. The second place that this made a huge impact was with our AI sales trainer. And so we've actually launched this on AISalesTraining.net, but we have an AI sales trainer that has 3 main core values. The first one is tactics. The tactics document goes over what we do and don't do as sales technicians or sales engineers. The second one is integrity. How do we hold integrity? Where do we and don't we apply pressure? Is external or internal pressure okay? And so the third piece of this is empathy. Are we able to say these things with an edge of empathy that makes enough sense for us to comment on something that somebody else is going through pain with? This was built specifically for people that have the difficulty with conflict communications, especially when there's revenue goals tied to being able to get through those conversations. And so we've been able to build in our top 30 objections and how we handle them, what we do and don't do. And this has been one of the biggest increases in productivity as well as onboarding and training that I've come up with. And it's incredible. So this is a part of our Claude Code lead generation strategy where each new person that comes into my sales team starts with about 30 minutes a day before they clock on. That way I can keep track of the gaps in their objection handling and how often they're plugging the gaps in the way that we need them to. And all of this gets back to a dashboard that I can easily see. And so that's been incredible. Now, one of the proof points for how this system thinks about lead generation is a site called Dakota RV Parks. The database-backed directory has about 2,300 plus listings in North and South Dakota for glamping RV parks. It was 100% built and operated by me. It was launched April 12th with 0 users, and by May 24th, we just hit our first 500 people to visit the site, and the website actually already has users, about 30 something users, or sorry, 28 users now. And we haven't touched anything that has to do with marketing. It had 0 promotion, and so Google's been sending us traffic. So let's just go over what those analytics looked like for Dakota RV. The first couple of weeks was really dead, but after the first weeks, we had a strong pickup with over about 500 impressions and over 10 clicks per day since. And so let's go over a quick recap. Claude Code lead generation is the engine behind this first 15K pipeline. The LAPS equation shows you exactly where your levers are. For us, it's calls. The AI operating system that we reviewed recently is Nate Herc's original framework, extended for the JWD agency. Then we have a new website under Dakota RV Parks that proves the model. It has very strong signals that it's already growing. Everything I find in the field, the tactics, the frameworks, the tools, the equations I'm using for Claude Code lead generation goes straight into the newsletter. You can find it at jwilliamsdesigns/newsletter. It takes 10 seconds to sign up and you get everything in one place, and that's where I'm putting all of it. So that's all I got to report for now. I will talk to you guys soon.